From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
Daniels Roofing, licensed, bonded, insured roofing contractor. 45 years of generational expertise, offering a variety of roofing systems in the North State. Composition shingles, metal, tile, fire-safe wood shingles, and spray foam roofing systems. An energy-saving cool roof, perfect for commercial flat roofs and mobile homes. With other companies, you may get a foreman or a salesman, but with Daniels Roofing, you get Daniel. Call today for your free estimate. Daniels Roofing, 3 generations working hard to protect your home and business.
Happy Friday evening to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. This is your Friday, January 22nd, or January 23rd, that is, Krueger's Quickcast. So let's get you right into it. Take a look at our forecast here for tonight. Now, there is going to be some fog that may redevelop out towards the Chico area, Glenn and Butte counties here. But then eventually the winds will pick up, push that on out. But for the most part, we're talking low 40s in the valley, mostly clear skies, teens and 20s to the north and east. It's going to be downright cold in some spots in the mountains. 20s, 30s off to the west, and looks like in the mid to upper 30s for the coast. So pretty cold on the coast as well. So out the door tomorrow morning, I do think there's going to be some patchy fog for places like Chico. But the thing is, we're going to see those winds pick up. So the chances of that fog kind of sticking around, it may mix out here before we do get into those early morning hours. Otherwise, you're talking teens and 20s as we talked about for some of those overnight and early morning lows. So the area of low pressure that brought us the clouds over the last few days, that's moving on out of here. That's going to be impacting our neighbors to the east, giving them the snow and that ice storm that they're going to be dealing with here over the weekend. For us, high pressure is building in. And we're talking warmer temperatures. So as I mentioned, we may see some of that fog for tonight around Glenn and Butte counties here. Then as those winds pick up from the north, that's going to mix out that fog. And I do expect mostly clear skies for all of the valley. Now it looks like by Sunday morning, we may see some more fog redevelop around the Chico and maybe even the Willows area. So be prepared for the fact that that fog potential is sticking around through the weekend in some spots here. So we take a look at our temperatures for your Saturday, not quite as warm as it has been, but still in the upper 50s to low 60s in the valley, 40s for most of the higher elevations to the north and east, but off to the west in the 50s, and generally in the upper 50s to around 60 for you along the coast. Your 7-day forecast for the valley, I'm still keeping a chance for showers in there for Wednesday. Forecast models just don't want to align. They haven't aligned since day one as we track this potential for rain, and they're still not in alignment. And it makes things very tricky when we're talking about that chance for rain. Best chances I do think will be on the coast though, inland and even for parts of Trinity County on Wednesday. And then still a chance for places like Siskiyou, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains. However, the farther east you go, I think the slimmer the chances of that rainfall. But we're going to talk about all that a little bit later in our deeper dive. But first, let's talk about our headlines and kind of what we're going to be talking about here. We're still looking at that morning mountain valley fog. Now, there's going to be less fog this weekend in the valley, especially as we go into tomorrow morning. But as I mentioned, there may be a little bit more going into Sunday. Slight drop in temperature over the weekend and that slight chance for showers by the middle of next week. So let's talk about all of that in our deeper dive forecast, sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Hearing isn't just about sound. It's about being part of every moment. This isn't your grandparents' hearing aid. It's a smart hearing aid for modern life. It's Bluetooth enabled, easy to control from your phone with your personal prescription, delivering the clarity you need. All that technology at half the cost of competitors, so you never miss a moment worth hearing. With our Here For You program, you get personal care and support every step of the way. This is what quality care sounds like.
All right, so let's get this fog out of the way here. Talk about what we expect here as we do go into the weekend. And you can see here as we go into tonight, I still think there's going to be some of that fog around Butte County, maybe even Glenn County, southward into Sacramento, and of course into the San Joaquin Valley as well. Now what's going to happen is as we go into the overnight and early morning hours, we're going to see a bit of a north wind, strong enough that it may just mix out that fog that tries to develop, even down towards Sacramento, right? But south of that, still some of that fog. Now that should burn off in most cases, but look at this. By the time we get to Sunday morning, looks like maybe a little bit more fog developing in some areas. I do expect to see some of those calmer winds in those areas. In fact, let's take a look at those winds and show what I'm talking about. Here's tomorrow morning at about 8 a.m. This is strong enough that we're going to help to really mix out that fog. So north wind, and kind of also coming off of the mountains to the east, kept making its way to Chico and Oroville. So I do expect to most likely see fog-free conditions as a result. However, if those winds don't materialize, then you've got that fog. In fact, this is why we do expect that potential for fog, especially down to the south, because of the calmer winds as we take you into your Sunday. All right, so here's the big picture. This is the low pressure system. You may remember the last few days, the clouds, right? That low pressure system is moving to the east. This low pressure system is also what is going to be a contributing factor to the snow and ice storms that we're going to be dealing with here, with that cold Arctic air coming down, working with this moisture in this area of low pressure, helping to produce, wreaking some havoc actually, with those ice storms that you're going to hear about over the weekend there. But for us, we've just got high pressure in place. You see the high pressure right here? That's what's building in here over the next couple of days. It's going to flatten out a bit on Sunday. That'll allow some of those clouds to move on in. But this is what I've got my eyes on. Now here's what's interesting. This particular forecast model that we're looking at, it's known as the GFS. It's the American Forecast Model. It really, as I've been tracking this potential for rain over the last few weeks for the end of this month, it has been the least aggressive with the rainfall. That is, not really showing much rainfall at all. And even if it does, it's very light. Now what's interesting is the European forecast model has been exact opposite. It's been very aggressive with the rain and some really good rainfall on top of that, but still high snow levels. Latest forecast models, the European forecast model not showing any rainfall through the end of the month and early next week. But the GFS, look at that. Next Wednesday, still a chance for showers. So here's what we're going to go with. Still not guaranteed, but I'd say that Wednesday is the day. And we were talking about this morning in midday as well. But it still looks like Wednesday is the day that if we were to see any wet weather, that would be the day. And the best chances would be off to the west along the coast. And look at this, just not much going on after that. Yeah, okay, maybe a weak system, again, clipping for January 31st. Long way out, lot can happen between now and then. But the bottom line, even if we see anything through the end of the month and even early next month, it's not going to be anything significant. It's not going to put much in those rain gauges. We take a look at the rainfall outlook. Now, this has changed since this morning in midday. See what's happening? Yeah, we're beginning to see it push back off a little bit to the east here. Maybe a trace, maybe a few hundredths of an inch of rainfall at most. But honestly, I think this might be overdoing it. I'm still kind of in alignment with the fact that I think most of it will be around here. And then the farther east you go, the slimmer the chances of any of that wet weather. But again, it's one of those wait and see type of situations. But for now, that's all we can do is wait and see. Because you can see here, the Climate Prediction Center still has a potential, mainly off to the north and west, with drier conditions off to our east, warmer than normal conditions. So even if we do see some of those light showers, you're talking pretty high snow levels, 6, 7, 8,000 feet. So your 10-day trend, yeah, temperatures are dropping, as I mentioned a little bit. They start to tick back up toward the end of next week and into that next weekend. That is not a sign of wet weather moving in, is it? This is why we expect to see mainly dry conditions over the next 10 plus days. The good news is if you do need to be on a small boat, you're in good shape. Saturday looks like it's going to be those calmer, weaker waves and even smaller waves by the time we get into Sunday. All right, so here is your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. For Trinity County, you've got temperatures mid-50s, really across the board. It's not going to be quite as warm as it has been, but still not that bad for this time of the year. About 60 for Blue Lake, 62 degrees for Garberville. Now, where I'm putting at least raindrops in the forecast, right there, see Wednesday? There's the raindrops. There's that slight chance for some showers, but as you saw, it's not going to be anything all that significant. That's also the case for the inland areas and for the coast. 59 for Gasquet for your Saturday, 57 out in Orleans. Now, for Siskiyou County, I just put the word chance in there for Wednesday, but don't count on much. Temperatures low to mid-40s for your daytime highs. Modoc County, even slimmer chances for rain on Wednesday, but a chance nonetheless. And yeah, all right, maybe going into that Friday as well. Now, we take a look at the eastern mountains off to the east, and all right, there you can see here, looking at temperatures 30s and even in the 40s here. Wednesday, all right, maybe a slight chance entering the picture here as well. And then for the valley to the south, temperatures mid to upper 50s. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for Chico. Yeah, all right, we've got temperatures upper 50s for Tuesday, Wednesday, right around 60 by Thursday and Friday. Up to the north for your Saturday, 61 degrees for Redding, 60 for Cottonwood, 60 out in Red Bluff, and 59 degrees for Lakehead. And here's your 7-day forecast for Redding. Temperatures around 60 by the time you get to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A little bit warmer, actually, by Thursday and Friday of next week. All right, that's your evening update. I'll be back again, well, not until next Monday. Of course, meteorologist Chase Wilson will be in over the weekend to give you your updates for both Saturday and Sunday. In the meantime, have yourselves a great night. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
When you see flashing lights, someone's life depends on us.
And while we're out helping crash victims, we need your help to keep us safe.
Move over, slow down, it's the law, it protects everyone.
Our crews are out here every day, keeping the roads safe for you and your family.
We're often the last ones on scene, and we want to make it home safe too.
Protect those who protect you, slow down and move over.